So, what if you could hold up a perfect mirror to the real world? And I don't just mean to see its reflection, but to actually test it, to predict its future, and maybe even change it. Well, that's the core idea behind this incredible technology called digital twins. And believe me, it is already reshaping our world from the inside out.
And look, this isn't some sci-fi fantasy set in the distant future. This kind of thing is happening right now, and it's a huge part of a much bigger technological shift. So let's dive in and break down what exactly a digital twin is and how it all works.
All right, to really get a grip on how powerful this is, we first need a clear picture of what a digital twin actually is. How does this high-tech mirror even work?
Okay, at its heart, a digital twin is a virtual model of something real. But, and this is the absolute key, it's not just a static blueprint or a 3D drawing, it's a living replica. It's constantly being fed real-time data from the real world, which lets us simulate how it's going to behave, analyze its performance, and even predict what's going to happen next.
So the whole concept, which was really laid out by Dr. Michael Greaves back in 2002, is built on three main pillars. First, you've got the physical thing itself. Could be a jet engine, a skyscraper, or even a human heart. Then you have its virtual model. And the secret sauce, the most crucial part, is the constant stream of data that flows between them. That data link is what turns a simple model into a dynamic, living twin.
And you should know this isn't some niche hobby. We're talking about big business. The market for this tech is expected to be worth over $110 billion by 2028. This isn't just an idea anymore. It's a technology that is fundamentally changing how entire industries get work done.
But to really appreciate how powerful this is, we actually need to go back in time. Long before it was a billion-dollar industry, the basic concept was forged in a life-or-death emergency, hundreds of thousands of miles away from Earth.
The journey from that practical, in-the-moment fix to a full-blown technology took decades. It all started with NASA's very hands-on approach, was dreamed up by thinkers like David Galanter, and then formally defined by academics like Dr. Greaves. But it really truly took off with the rise of the Internet of Things. That huge network of sensors that connects our physical world to the digital one. It all kicks off with one of the most famous and chilling understatements in history. Back in 1970, the Apollo 13 mission was in serious trouble. An oxygen tank had just exploded, crippling their spacecraft.
So how in the world did NASA fix it? Well, back on the ground, they had physical simulators, basically twins of the spacecraft systems. They used these Earth-bound twins to copy the exact damage and then test out potential solutions, all under the same crazy constraints the astronauts were facing up in space. By running these simulations right here on Earth, they figured out a plan and brought the crew home. It was, without a doubt, the first, and maybe the most dramatic, proof that this whole twinning concept could work.
Okay, so how did we get from that nail-biting moment in space to where we are today? Well, that fundamental idea, tested on the twin first, has grown up, and now it's sparking a revolution in pretty much every industry you can think of.
See, today's digital twins are supercharged with modern tech. It all starts with those Internet of Things, or IoT sensors, that collect just massive amounts of data. Then, all that data gets processed on powerful cloud platforms. And finally, AI and really advanced simulation software turn all of that information into a predictive, dynamic model. So let's take a look at what this actually means in the real world.
Let's start with manufacturing, which is really at the heart of this whole Industry 4.0 revolution. And a fantastic example is what BMW is doing with its so-called virtual factories. The difference here is just staggering. Before they build or retool a real factory, BMW builds a perfect digital twin of it first. Planning a new assembly line used to take weeks of expensive physical mock-ups. Now, they just run automated tests in the virtual factory. A process that used to take about 4 weeks now gets done in 3 days, and it cuts their planning costs by up to 30%. That's a huge deal. So we go from the factory floor right into the operating room. And this brings us right back to that question we started with. Can you test a procedure on a virtual heart? Well, an amazing initiative called the Living Heart Project is making that a reality.
This is where the technology gets incredibly personal. The project creates a super precise 3D model of one specific patient's heart. This means doctors can test a new valve or a pacemaker on that virtual heart, simulating blood flow and predicting how it'll work before they ever make an incision.
It is the ultimate form of personalized medicine, and it is happening as we speak. And the scale of this tech just keeps getting bigger. We went from a single factory to a single human heart. So what's the next logical step? How about an entire city? Or in this case, a whole nation? Let me introduce you to Virtual Singapore. This is digital twinning on a scale that is just hard to wrap your head around. The city planners there use this incredibly detailed 3D model to test pretty much everything. They can see how a new skyscraper is going to affect wind and shadows. They can model flood scenarios to plan for emergencies. They can optimize traffic and even test the real impact of adding a new park. It's like having a giant digital sandbox for an entire country.
From a single machine to a whole nation, the scope is just mind-boggling. But, of course, the technology isn't just sitting still. So, where are these digital doubles headed next? What's on the horizon?
Well, the future looks even smarter and more connected. So, for example, imagine autonomous twins that don't just tell you there's a problem, they automatically fix it themselves. Or what about federated twins, where a city's power grid twin can actually talk to its traffic management twin to prevent a blackout during rush hour? And with generative AI, these twins won't just mirror reality, they'll start inventing thousands of better designs all on their own.
But the ultimate goal, the biggest ambition of all, is to create a digital twin of our entire planet. Seriously, initiatives like Destination Earth are already working on this. Their goal is to model climate change and extreme weather with a level of precision that we have just never had before. It's a massive undertaking. So, from saving astronauts in deep space to planning the cities of tomorrow, this technology is already a huge part of our present. But it leaves us with this one profound question. As we get closer and closer to creating a perfect digital double of our world, what does that future really look like? And what new possibilities will it open up for all of us?